I moved to a remote fishing island in 1989 in Maine. There, I bought the former town dump for the Ghost Nets project. Ghost Nets is a case study for an artist-conceived approach to environmental restoration. The site is part of a complex ecosystem in the larger Gulf of Maine. This project restored flourishing wetlands on the site. GhostNets now informs my experiments with communities as Gulf to Gulf, an online team with scientists.
It sounds like nobody expects it to be a huge deal, but it's a little bit confusing because when I looked at the map, it looked like it was going to flood through Baton Rouge. Is that your impression?
All right, so maybe I should say what's happening just as a background.
Yeah, here it is. So can you guys see? Well, you asked the question earlier, what might we have done differently? And I emailed you guys that I guess one of the things I'm thinking about is that an advantage of doing these sessions, if you want to put it in scientific terms, is that they're like participatory mapping with a small group.
Geographic Information Systems Science layers statistical and geographically precise data. It provides direction to model strategies for landscape-scale restoration. It is a natural segue from the visual world to science. The true obstacle to integrating built and biologically sensitive environmental restoration is human relationships. Lost drift nets, called ghost nets, come loose from fishing boats. Invisible, indestructible, and enormous, they strip mine the ocean of marine life, like destructive human habits and routines. The Ghost Net site is a model of extreme degradation. The man-made land had buried a local estuary and destroyed habitat. The uplands had been sheep-herded, quarried, and farmed. Water and soil were running into the ocean without natural filtration. The land required extensive soil rehabilitation and microhabitat remediation. I began by studying a local control marsh with various art forms. I copied what I learned from studying settlers' diaries and watching local succession. 7 years were spent restoring the uplands riparian zone to filter and protect groundwater. Rocks that had been shattered were replaced. Forbs and trees which had been stripped and timbered were planted. Granite detritus, which had buried the estuary, was removed. Invasive European green crabs have decimated fisheries globally and were collected at the site. The physical restoration model only begins to address the larger problems. Globalized human attitudes, values, and species loss also require modeling, even as sea level and temperatures rise. My goal is to scale up GhostNet strategies for restoration. Science, visual art, performance, and bioengineering require flexible systems to embody new knowledge, track change, and work with communities. The problem of solving the effects of extractive industries is to a large part intellectual. But my premise is we're not going to solve it just with our minds. We have to solve it with all our faculties. And one of our faculties is literally moving our body into the ideas. So what I want to see if we can do is just try moving around in the space, embodying what you think has to be done, and see what happens. And Joel, you can be the mountain, or you can have your head topped off by mountaintop removal. You can be the mountain intact, or you can lose your head.
No, I think I'd rather be the mountain intact.
Okay, so right now you're the mountain intact. So why don't we get up and try this? And I think, let's see.
You guys should come with me the whole time because my community has beliefs.
So you guys are trying to clean the river, but I'm the extractive industry, so I'm going to push back. But are you going to try to clean? I'm going to push.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep pushing. So I'll start on you. I'll go with both of you. So are any of you going to help me here? Are you going to help me extract, or are you going to help me clean? You're going to help extract?
Yeah.
Because you're the driller. You're the driller. Are you going to intervene, Mary?
I'm going to.
She's strong back there. God.
Oh, man.
You're pushing me back. I want to extract. And actually, the corporations are few people. It's kind of like the European aristocracy. They exercise a tremendous amount of power until people figured out, hey, there are just a few of them. There are a lot of us. I identified many ways to proactively work with and identify communities as part of an ecological art practice. Some are deliberately politically provocative, but can be effective. I found the adaptation of artistic practices to environmental pressures through targeted restoration to be a perpetual experience of studying the process of self-organization within systems, which naturally preserves biodiversity and clean water.